We are in Jerusalem in Jesus' final week. We have had the triumphal entry and the teaching in the temple, which included confrontations with the Jewish leaders. Now Jesus' opponents are silent. Jesus addresses the crowds and his disciples and gives this lengthy condemnation of the scribes and Pharisees. Why does he do this? A great judgment is coming. When Jesus dies on the cross, all human sin is judged in his death. The ultimate true standard of righteousness is revealed for all to see. The veil of the temple is torn, showing it to be obsolete and useless. Jesus' cleansing of the temple, and here his excoriation of the Jewish leaders, and in the next chapter his prediction of the temple's destruction, show that all these things are under judgment. Near the beginning of Jesus' speech, he tells them to do what the scribes and Pharisees tell them. This is rhetorical because his disciples are meant to do what he tells them. But Jesus' point is that the scribes and Pharisees are hypocrites. Their righteousness, such as it is for show, for honour and for gain. Not only that, but they actually hinder people from entering the kingdom. If their teaching actually helped, that would be something. But they lay on burdens too heavy to carry, and they focus on external things, not the internal, which are what really counts. We are back yet again in the territory of the Sermon on the Mount, which discussed true righteousness and the meaning of the law, and warned about false teachers who are unknown to God and who do not obey his will. Also, the teaching on oaths is here echoed. Jesus has several examples to show the ridiculousness and futility of their thinking, which again places value on precisely the wrong things. The same applies to how they live. Utmost care is taken with tithing herbs, but the weightier matters of the law are neglected. Jesus does not criticize the law. Indeed, as we saw in the Sermon on the Mount, he upholds it. Tithing should be done because every jot and tittle matters. But it's meaningless, even offensive, if justice, mercy, and faith are neglected. Coming closer to home now, because he is about to die in Jerusalem, Jesus speaks of the prophets. Ironically, their veneration of the prophets indicts them in the guilt of their ancestors who killed them. It is a case of like father, like son, but actually this generation is worse. They are the brood of vipers, the offspring. Echoing Jesus' teaching in chapters 11 and 12, this generation has had the greatest revelation come to it, but will reject it. There are three standout Christological sayings here. The first is that Jesus says in verse 34 that he is sending prophets, sages and scribes, which they will persecute and kill. This is remarkable because it is God who sends the prophets. The second is that in verse 37, where Jesus expresses his longing for Jerusalem, that he might gather its children like a hen gathers its chicks, again sounds like God's compassion for his wayward people. And thirdly and finally, Jesus concludes in verse 39 by saying that you will not see me again until you say, "Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord." This is juxtaposed with its previous sentence that your house is left to you desolate, meaning no descendants, no inheritance, no future. He makes by this saying everything conditional upon himself, and even more so that he himself is that ultimate blessing. In the same way that the ultimate horror in chapter 7 is to be told to depart from me, in the same way that that implies that the greatest good is to be near Jesus, so Jesus here puts seeing his face as Jerusalem's greatest good over against their destruction. They were not willing, but Jesus does say, "Until you say." Jerusalem will kill its prophets as it has always done, and it will bear the blood guilt. Yet a door remains open.